What's up, everybody? It's Carpo. Yep, sure is. Vape on, bro. Do you vape, bro? I decided to just turn the camera on as a joke. Not as a joke, but as a to make a video without any preamble, without any thought behind it, without saying, "Oh, I have this idea of something I want to talk about. Make a video." I just turned the camera on after I just made my, botanicals video. So I just thought I'd kind of just touch base and say, "What's up?" with everybody. What is up? What is up? How's everybody doing? I've met a lot of really cool people on YouTube. And I met a lot of shitballs. Well, maybe that'll be a good subject matter to talk. I'm apparently not even a human, according to a lot of people I've met on YouTube. I've been accused of being everything from a reptilian to a moon agent. But the funniest thing happened to me a couple hours ago, actually. I got this comment that said, it was on one of my videos. I can't remember what the video was about. It's one of my older ones, a couple of years old. And it said, "We know you're not even human, just admit it." Now, I might take that as a joke, of course, but I've met so many people who really think that I'm a reptilian or, something. And so I kind of played it and I said, "No, I'm actually a Care Bear. We're going to take you over." Crack some joke. And then another comment appeared on a different video of mine from the same guy. It was something else stupid. "We know you're not a human," and something like, "You're a reptoid." So I went and checked out the guy's channel, and I clicked on it, and it was created, oh, go surprise, November 21st, 2015. Oh, that's today. So they created a sock account, basically, just opened it, and the first things they ended up on was going to my videos. So I just kind of laughed, and I said, "Yeah, whatever, I've met a million guys like you." Just kind of blew them off, pulled the old Care Bear thing again. And then another comment of his appeared on one of the videos from a different guy who would accuse me of being a reptilian. So basically, he went straight from my videos to a video from a guy who had got angry a couple weeks ago and called me this. Long story short, obviously the guy who had been accusing me of being a reptilian had created this sock account to try to go and get my attention on my other videos, and then suck me back to his video to get more comments out of it. And I was just like, dude, I can't even believe it. Do people really believe what they're saying? But this guy does. He actually truly believes what he's saying. He believes I'm a reptilian. He has made 3 videos about me showing my eyes, like in the videos, and how, when you slow down the camera, you can see, reptilian slits in the eyes. Over the years, I found there's a whole bunch of people who are really into this stuff. There are really only maybe a few of them who actually do any real homework on the subject. Most of the ones who do find out that it has to do with interlacing and digital layering. It's all digital photography. These things don't appear in old movies unless they're digitized. But there's a whole group of people who, they truly are afraid that there are people like me on YouTube that are non-humans. And man, it's just, I'm not saying that there aren't any non-human creatures. I'm not saying that here walking among us that there aren't entities or beings, or perhaps those who have a deeper reptilian mind, or symbolically or metaphorically. Do I believe that there are literal shape-shifting reptilians walking among us? No. Do I believe it's possible? Sure. And I'm not going to negate it. I'm not going to say, no, this isn't true. I play the devil's advocate, no pun intended there, but just trying to always pick on the other side and say, but what if this is true? Or what if this is true? And often I even go against what I believe by saying, well, maybe this is true, or maybe what I believe is wrong. But, if folks are accusing people like, say, George Bush of being something, that's one thing to have a fantasy about, some horrible leader who basically looks like a fucking reptile, but to find a guy like me, an average dude, who's made 3,000 videos on YouTube, and when I got accused of being non-human, the reason why the guy picked at me was because I ran into him on a different video it was about the truth about shape-shifting reptilians. I think it was an older video I'd commented on a year or two ago, and somehow you know, whenever a video pops up on Google Plus in a thread that you haven't seen in a while, you might go back to revisit it to see what it was about. And I can look back on some of the stuff I said, and sure, maybe I was kind of teasing the guys a little bit, but I was really being honest with the question and asking, you know, how can you be quite sure, and trying to explain how these things work. So I take the time to even post a link and say, this is, you know, this is how interlacing works. And I actually found a link to the wiki article that showed a picture of a face that looked just like one of their reptilian faces, showing how the interlacing works, and the layering. And, you know, I'm not a camera guy, but I was able to find the information pretty easily when I actually looked for it. I even posted that information, and they claimed it was a lie or a bunk website. Or he says, I've come across that information before, it's just a lie. It's put out by the elite. Now at this point, you know, what do you say to a person? This is like presenting science to a person who, you know, has some fantasy religion, and showing them a fact in front of them that what they believe isn't true, and having them say, yeah, well, scientists are all just frauds, and they're all just out to fool us. You know, science is an it's a practice. It's not a group of people. And in the same way, you know, guys like me who are out here making YouTube videos who have an opinion, just because my opinion doesn't agree with someone else, it's much easier for a person to accuse me of being non-human. It's crazy. It's absolutely crazy. I know it's tacky to vape, but I don't give a shit. At least I don't smoke cigarettes anymore, right? You know, reptiles need to vape because it's moisture. You see, vaping is actually just vapor, it's moisture. And our reptilian skin gets really dry. So we vape and we blow it on our skin to make sure that we don't dry out and crack. Because there's nothing worse than being caught on camera with cracked skin. I mean, my forked tongue... The guy who made that video, he actually like slowed down the video of me when I was going and licking my lips, and he said, look, his lizard tongue. He's even flicking his lizard tongue. I'm like, wow. A guy that's never had chapped lips before. But anyway, I don't know what my point in this is other than just to kind of poke fun at these guys who, you know, I've kept my mouth shut over the last year or so and really stopped talking about this kind of stuff, the conspiracy theories, stop poking fun at the reptilian believers and the hollow moon believers and all the different believers of crazy stuff, because it's no different than believing in religion or aliens or Bigfoot or anything. Maybe they exist, maybe they don't, but we have to decide for ourselves is the point on all these subjects. And I've come to a point in my life where I guess it just doesn't matter anymore. Just don't really care what could be or what might be. And I used to really enjoy reveling in that thought of maybe this is this way and maybe this is that way, maybe the universe is this big or maybe it's this small, and maybe they walk among us, and all these maybes over the years. I did so much what you might call research that I came to realize that most of it just didn't matter. And what I was seeking when I was out trying to find figure out who was lying and what was right and what was wrong and who's telling us the truth and who isn't, I realized the whole time I was seeking something within. And it's difficult to admit that for, a lot of times for myself and for others, I guess, to admit that we went so headstrong into looking for something. I was seeking something for so long, I guess, I didn't even realize I was seeking it. And I had somebody say one time, like, I don't know, it was an older gentleman, he's like, said something to the effect of, you seek and seek, but, you never really find. Everything is right there. And there's no way I could remember the wording, but it was more than one comment. It was several things people have said over the years that really showed me that as you get older, none of those things really matter. Because the things that we can't prove, like I could use religion as an example, and I try really hard not to anymore. But I could say, I could find a life of extreme, pious Christianity, let's say, or Islam, to where everybody else was wrong and my religion was right, but by joining that and by believing that, I instantly put myself into a box to where I'm forced to believe that other people are wrong in their beliefs. And that's a very important thing. It just means that if we can't be comfortable in our own beliefs, I should say, if we want to be comfortable in our own beliefs, then we have to make sure that we accept everyone else's, or else we tend to shut ourselves in. And when we do that, we team up with people who we believe think like we do, and then we form groups. And this is how these YouTube groups form that start accusing everyone who doesn't believe in reptilians as being either a shill, a shapeshifter, a liar. I had one guy actually, this is a totally different situation and a good example. I had a discussion this evening. It was a pretty civil discussion with, for the last couple of days on and off on his comments, with the guy who was talking about why there has to be an observer to the universe for the creation of the universe. And he was going on the assumption that, he was talking about collapsing waveforms, and things that were kind of just, maybe a little out of my league, but when I really thought about it and I stepped back and I said, okay, there's all this fancy wording, a huge long comment with all this fancy wording about collapsing waveforms and novelties and these pinpoints of light and Big Bang and all this stuff. And basically his thought was that he was saying the creative observer or something. I can't remember what he used as the description, but basically I said, so what you're saying is you're saying that God has to exist because of B. And he started playing this game of saying, well, you brought God into it, and it has nothing to do with God. It's about just saying an observer has to exist for this to happen. It was all about people who were saying that nothing exists until you look at it. You've heard these stories about people say, oh, things don't exist until you observe them. So I said, well, what if you walk into a dark room you've never been in, and you hit your head on a table in the dark, and you never observed it? And somebody said, well, somebody else has already observed that table. And I said, well, what if you fall in a crevasse that just formed and hit your head? Nobody's ever seen the bottom of the crevasse. The point is that shit exists whether we observe it or not. Well, this guy was explaining that the observer, the ultimate observer, is this all-omnipotent existence. And all I was trying to say is that, I even said I agree with you for the most part. I believe that there's something greater and a greater cosmic mind too. But I'm saying you're bringing this into a scientific discussion, and there's no scientific evidence for it. And his final comment was said, you're either ignorant or you're a blatant liar. I thought about that for a minute, and I was like, wow. A liar? Because of my opinion? Because I'm asking somebody that, how they can make conjecture and a subjective opinion about God and put it in all these other terms. Even if it's something I agree with, which I did agree with him, I can admit that I don't have proof of that. I don't know if that's true or not. I don't know. And neither does he. So his response was that I'm a liar? I mean, it didn't bother me, of course. It's just something that comes to mind. I mean, I've dealt with at least a dozen idiots every month that, want to attack me on various ideas, but they always make me think, what is it that upsets this person? Or if I used to get upset in the past, I'd think, what upsets me? Whenever I used to get mad if somebody would say something, whether it be at work, at home, anywhere you're at, or on YouTube, online somewhere, I'd ask myself, why am I upset about this? Do I really care what this person thinks? Most of the time I didn't. And over the years I learned to just blow people off. And I'm much happier for it. It's just, you have more time for things that matter. And this is part of the reason why I just don't care about all this trivial stuff, the conspiracy theories, the Illuminati, the what ifs, the who's running the world. What good does it do? What good does it do to even know that, even if it's true? And they say knowledge is power. I totally agree, but unless you can do something with your knowledge, you're just wasting time. And unless that knowledge can be proven without a doubt, you're just speculating. And it leads to people accusing people like me of being non-human. And I want to find it humorous, but I find it sad and depressing. Because I don't want these people to really think this. I tried to have a civil discussion with some of these guys who have said this and be like, look, I was just playing with you, okay? No, I'm not really reptilian, I'm just having fun. But at the point where a person feels like they've been burned, or that they have been fooled, then they're unwilling to go, okay, I admit it was a joke, I was wrong, you were fucking with me. And I guess it's just hard for people to let their ego go. It's a hard one. Anyway, I guess that's all I got for the evening. I'm gonna get back in the house and go to sleep. I had to do these videos in the evening. I've been meaning to do all day. I didn't really have anything particular for this one, but hey, I found something to talk about, didn't I? So I wish you all the best of evenings, and oh yeah, don't forget, that one's for my homies.